to finance how to keep Benjamin Netanyahu from being the prime minister. And he was successful, and Ehud Barak became the prime minister. That is a fact. Barack Obama sent a group of people to Israel before the election to teach them how to not take out physically and harm, take down Benjamin Netanyahu. We have had presidents. This is in the papers.
Yeah.
I know for a fact. So our leader then can become involved in an election.
Yes.
And there's no proof Trump did anything, but what they're mad at is WikiLeaks leaked this information, and the head of WikiLeaks said, it is not Russia. He said, get me back to the States and don't charge me. I will tell you where it came from. Now the rumor is, and I don't even like to talk about rumors, the man who was found dead in Washington, that he was a Bernie Sanders supporter, and he was leaking the information from WikiLeaks to the press. He was robbed. Funny, his watch and his wallet were still on him.
The one who died in the park.
Yes, and they can't find his laptop. How convenient. The D.C. police don't know where it is, and the federal government don't know. Can't find his laptop. Now, that's the story of where it allegedly came from.
Wow.
But the thing that you're dealing with is, Trump probably still is a great businessman, but he's a businessman. He had towers being built. He had hotels being built. He had to talk to Russian people. They've never had a leader who was a businessman. We have had leaders who are professional politicians.
Right.
Yes.
That's the difference. And professional politicians do this, and this to get to there.
Right.
This guy just did business all over the world and negotiated all over the world with properties all over. It is a different setting.
It sure is.
But if they try to charge him with anything, I want somebody to get on national TV and ask Bill Clinton and Barack Obama for an explanation as to why they tried to interfere with the Israeli election.
Wow. That's good.
And it's a fact. And the Israelis know it.
And they know it.
I'm sending out 2 of his books that are so powerful. And
hey, this one,
know if I have both of them.
this is the most crazy, insane book I ever wrote. And this is, if you were to ask me what my favorite book is, this is my favorite. This absolutely is my favorite book because I do a, oh my goodness, How God Counts Prophetic Time, Patterns of Presidents, World Leaders, 6 Warnings from General Booth, America on the Roman Road, 1933 all over again, Visions and Dreams of What's Coming, Prophecies encoded in the Hebrew alphabet and numbers. It is absolute. It's the craziest thing. When I say crazy, crazy is good.
Yeah, crazy is good.
Just so you'll know.
Yes.
Crazy is not like, dude. Crazy is like, this is, and this one here, Jim, also on the.
This, yeah.
Let me tell you about this one. This one is fun because I do something called the Purim Code hidden in Esther. You can find the whole tribulation concealed in Esther. I did one on the Hanukkah Code and cleaning your temple. The Great Assembly. People have never heard of the Great Assembly. It happened on every Shemitah year. Hiding in Pentecost afar off, codes that are hidden in the shadows. There's 14 chapters. Mystery of the Shofar. The bitterness of Chesvan. That's the Jewish month where winter comes. The bitterness of surviving winter, not physical winter, spiritual winter.
Yeah.
And when you asked for the books, you got 2 of the best ones.
We really
no, seriously.
did.
And I'm not
These
just
are
saying
amazing.
that. This excites me for people to really read this because you are going to learn probably 80% of stuff you never did know before. And that's what I love.
Isn't that exciting?
I love teaching people. I do.
Yes.
Love teaching people.
So you can get
And what's crazy is, I've been reading chapter 10 and Deciphering End Times. Is it 1933 all over again? That is a powerful chapter. I just want to tell you that.
And it started when a woman who survived the Holocaust in California in a wheelchair, right after the former leader was elected, she looked at me and she said, "You all don't see it, but it's 1933 all over again." And she gave me the parallels
of the Holocaust, people. You better read that chapter.
Yeah.
That will
really
shock
touched
you.
me.
In what you're saying, how much it's now.
Yeah.
Everything we're going through now. what the press is doing now,
Right.
what the love of many waxing cold, and what is going on in the church.
It's all parallel.
It's all over again. In fact, what I'm going to do is, we were offering these 2 books for a gift of $30 is to help us. We need your support to stay on the air.
Can I tell you something, Jim? And I'm not saying it because you're sitting here. I do not watch preachers often because I'm busy
We're
studying.
busy. Yeah, yeah.
But there's 3 guys I watch, and I won't name 2, but I watch his programs.
Aw.
Every time his programs come on, he has such interesting guests.
Thank
He
you.
really doesn't he? He really does.
Really amazing.
And you're
guy.
always. I watch Don Colbert doing, what do they call those things where you got to
The
get down like
planks.
that?
When he goes right here,
So I
he's
got
down there.
down and tried to do a plank. I lasted 5 seconds. That was the end of it.
That's great.
So what
You're right.
I want to get on. I want to hear some more.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do.
Because there are people on the left who believe we will win both the House and the Senate. We will impeach him. We will have him out. They're already saying 2019, he will be gone and will be in charge. Now, I just want to say this.
Yeah, I've heard him say that.
I just want to say this. I'm from West Virginia, and we are called rednecks for a reason. Redneck actually was a coal miner that was not in the union, and they were wanting to bring the union in, and the bosses didn't want it. And so to be pro-union, you tied a red bandana around your neck. That's where redneck came from.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's the reason.
I thought they got out in the sun. I thought they were farmers.
Yeah, you know. So people don't know the etymology of the history of it. But I will tell you that the people who are loyal to this man, who love this country, who love God, who love the Second Amendment, I mean, we would call them just patriotic pro-Americans. If they do this to this man, hell will break loose. Because they're not going to sit by and say, well, I guess we'll just have to go in the voting booth and vote somebody. There will be a march on D.C. like you have never seen in your life. And the people that did it will have to, they'll pay a price if God himself does just step in and do it, because there's no way you cannot.
So judgment could come to America.
Oh, you
by
cannot
us doing that.
You cannot interfere with the sovereignty, prophetic assignment of God. That's like standing up and saying, down with the Jews. Israel doesn't have a right to exist. Well, duh, they're existing, aren't they? They're not going anywhere. All the wars and battles in the world, they're not going to go anywhere. So it's almost that way with the prophetic thing of the Lord. I know some inside stories of everybody. Look, here's what you've got to separate. You've got to separate the man and character flaws and personality flaws from the sovereignty of God.
Right.
Here's the deal. Pharaoh worshipped idols and had the greatest prophetic dream of the Old Testament next to Nebuchadnezzar, who worshiped Marduk, a false god, and has a dream of Bible prophecy that we're still talking about. And God calls Nebuchadnezzar my servant when he's invading Judea. Why does God call a pagan king his servant who's destroying the temple? Because God had predicted what was going to happen and says, this man will fulfill my plan. Thus, he is my servant, even though he doesn't know me yet.
That's why we...
See, that's what people have to
don't
separate.
get Trump.
No,
Don't
no,
get
but they have
Trump.
to separate that. They have to separate. God is not saying he approves of a character flaw or he approves of something.
No,
that's when we talk about this, they think, well, you mean to tell me? No, that's all past. That's all 10 years ago, whatever. God looks at him and says, there's something about him. He will be bold. He will declare my state. He will declare my people. He will support my... Look, we had a previous guy who didn't even, by evidence, he didn't like the Jews too much. He didn't support Israel at all. He gave Israel's enemies money.
All right.
So God says now's the time.
You said God put him there. He's the Cyrus of the day. How can this be? What is the difference?
You ready for a phrase?
I want to know what's the difference between the two. Is it knowledge or what? Is it knowledge that you have in your head? Knowledge that but he has...
I thought this was in your page 154. Jim, here's your answer. Ready?
All right.
Dangerous soul ties to a political spirit.
Oh, yes.
Let me explain.
Whoa, read that again.
Okay. There are dangerous... Now listen.
That's an answer.
Now this is the answer. There is a political
Soul
spirit,
ties.
and there are people who are soul tied to a political party no matter what happens.
I've heard of
They
that.
don't care if they kill
I've heard of
babies.
people
They don't
having
care if they
affairs and
destroy
having
marriage.
soul ties.
Come on, they don't
They're-
care if they wreck up the Bible. They
Yeah.
are so, well, Mama voted that way, Daddy voted that way. We're
That's
fourth
right.
generations. Yeah, it's a soul tie.
It's a soul tie.
And when you have that
That's what
kind
it
of a
is.
tie, it is the most, and here's why it's difficult to break. Ready? Because any tie like that is tied to emotion.
Yes.
You ever
always.
talk about
Boy,
soul
is this
ties, soul ties?
emotional.
Yeah.
So
Are you all listening
Watch
at all?
watch them get
Can you
emotional.
hear- Is the sound on
Watch
back
them on
there?
the news.
Oh, we do.
No, watch them on the news get emotional.
Real
If somebody
emotional.
comes on,
Oh, they're crying.
If somebody comes on and says, "Well, you know, there's a North Korean deal." Well, I'm just going to tell you what, working with a dictator ain't going to. I mean, if you watch the left, pay attention. The conservatives are sitting there, keeping their calm, and the left is screaming, foaming at the mouth, beating the table, looking around. Why? Because one group is rationally comparing and say, okay, let's compare what's happened then to now. The economy's up, better jobs. There's something going on. But the other side is so tied to that side, and if they're tied to that side, it is impossible for them to agree with anything good. I mean, the man could get up and walk on water, raise somebody from the dead, and they're going to say, he's a false prophet.
Right. Yep.
That's
you're
what
right.
they did to Jesus,
No,
right?
that's what they did to Jesus. See, the Pharisees
I
had...
understand it now.
No, the Pharisees had a soul tie. I mean, the Pharisees had a soul tie to the Romans. Because when Jesus came, they make this statement. We better deal with him because the Romans will come and take our position and take our city.
Yeah.
And they thought, Jesus, if he raises up too many people, the common people are going to raise up. If the common
Politics
people,
and money.
Absolutely. Politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it whether it exists or not, diagnosing it incorrectly, and applying the wrong remedy. The problem.
Wow, is that good?
Yeah, that's Ernest Ben. Listen to this. Henry Carter VII said the problem with political jokes is they get elected.
Oh.
Ronald Reagan, your buddy Ronald Reagan.
I love
Politics
him.
is not a bad profession. If you succeed, there are many rewards. If you disgrace yourself, you can always write a book.
Yes, people.
Reagan said this. Listen, this is hilarious.
So good.
Reagan said, politics is supposed to be the second oldest profession. I have come to realize that it bears close resemblance to the first.
True.
Bob Edwards said, now I know what a statesman is. He's a dead politician. We need more statesmen.
Oh.
Frank Dane said, get all the fools on your side and you can be elected to anything.
Right.
Then Jay Leno made this statement, if God had wanted us to vote, he would have given us candidates. But in all seriousness, I have seen Christians, and I would say to them, they had voted maybe a candidate that I knew was pro-abortion. I knew that they did not stand with traditional marriage. And I would say to them, I want to ask you an honest question. Be very honest with me. I just want to ask, how can you do this? And here's what their excuse is. Socially, I disagree with them. But politically, they represent my family's party.
Oh, and there it is.
And that's the key. So
That's
they're soul tied into a spirit that the emotions of politics. You want to get things stirred up, politics anywhere. Does it stir it up?
Oh yeah, it stirs it
You know,
up.
you can wear America. You can wear an America is great hat in my town. Okay, because there's not enough liberals in my town to put in a phone booth.
Right. We
Really, there's not,
understand.
because
we're in the
we
same
have
type of
380
area.
churches. We have word preaching. Our
Yes.
headquarters is there, and my people know how I stand in town.
Yeah.
Because I get on radio every now and then. We'll talk prophecy every now and then.
Yeah.
But there are other people that if you were to wear that,
Right.
they can't look at you and say, "Oh, that's your freedom. I don't agree," but they want to take the hat,
Right.
stomp it. They do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.